Self-control is not a soft skill. It is the root of power, discipline, confidence, and direction. Every mistake you repeat, every impulse you obey, every distraction you chase, it all comes from one truth: you haven't mastered yourself yet. But that ends now. This audiobook will teach you how to control your mind, your emotions, your habits, your reactions, and your choices. When you control yourself, you control your life. And today, you take that control back. Chapter 1. Take back the wheel. Self-control begins with one truth: you are responsible. Not your past. Not your parents. Not your stress. Not your mood. You. This is the gate most people never walk through, because responsibility feels heavy. But here's the reality: responsibility is not a burden. Responsibility is power. Responsibility is freedom. Responsibility is the moment you stop being tossed by your emotions and finally take control of your direction. You have a choice. Every moment, every hour, every decision. And that's the key. Most people blame everything around them: circumstances, people, pressure, timing. But blaming is the strategy of someone trying to escape responsibility. And escaping responsibility always leads to the same place: chaos. Because the moment you give away responsibility, you give away control. And when you give away control, your emotions take over. And when your emotions take over, your life becomes unstable. Look at your past. Look at the days when you made your worst decisions. The days when you reacted without thinking. The days when anger, fear, jealousy, shame, impatience, ego, one of these, drove the steering wheel. What happened? You paid for it. With time. With energy. With opportunities. With relationships. With confidence. That is what lack of self-control does. It drains you. It weakens you. It makes you act like prey, not a creator. But you have a choice. And the choice begins with this: stop blaming. Stop excusing. Stop outsourcing. It's not about your flaws. It's about your discipline. Self-control is built the moment you say, "My actions are mine. My reactions are mine. My direction is mine." That's the key. The cost of losing control. People don't realize how expensive emotional reactions are. They cost you focus. They cost you energy. They cost you time you will never get back. When you get angry and react instantly, you pay for it later. When you panic and make decisions out of fear, you pay for it later. When you avoid problems instead of confronting them, you pay for it later. Lack of control always demands a payment. And the payment is always taken from your future. But here's the truth you need to hear. You didn't lose control. You gave control away. You surrendered it to emotion, to impulse, to insecurity, to fear, to temptation. You have a choice. You can take it back. Right now. Today. The moment you stop blaming, you start building. Blame keeps your hands empty. Responsibility fills your hands with power. The moment you stop blaming is the moment you start building. You start building discipline. You start building a stronger identity. You start building a mind that doesn't collapse under emotion. Responsibility is the foundation of self-control. You cannot master your reactions if you still believe something outside of you is controlling your life. That's the key. Responsibility comes first. Everything else comes after. Your life follows your inner direction. You either lead your emotions or your emotions lead you. There is no middle ground. When impulses lead, your life becomes unstable. When moods lead, your days become unpredictable. When cravings lead, your goals fall apart. When fear leads, your opportunities disappear. When insecurity leads, your voice goes silent. Chaos comes from letting emotion choose the path. Strength comes from letting discipline choose the path. It's not about perfection. It's about direction. You choose your direction, not your moods, not your impulses, not your discomfort. You have a choice. And you must choose what leads you. Own the trigger. Own the response. Own the result. Self-control is built in 3 layers. 1. You see the trigger. 2. You choose the response. 3. You accept the result. When you blame someone else for your reaction, you lose all 3. But when you take responsibility, you gain all 3. You stop saying, "He made me angry." You say, "I chose anger." You stop saying, "Life stressed me out." You say, "I didn't manage my state." You stop saying, "I didn't have a choice." You say, "I didn't like the choice I needed to make." This is the mindset shift that separates the weak from the disciplined. Responsibility forces you to grow. Blame keeps you small. You don't need their permission to take control. You need your decision. Recognize where you let emotions own you. Think about where you lose control most often. Is it anger? Is it frustration? Is it fear? Is it jealousy? Is it impatience? Is it procrastination? Is it insecurity? Is it cravings and impulses? Whatever it is, that is the place where responsibility must increase. Because that is the place where your power leaks out. Emotions themselves are not the enemy. Lack of discipline is the enemy. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. You can feel anger without attacking. You can feel fear without freezing. You can feel doubt without quitting. You can feel temptation without surrendering. That's self-control. Not suppression. Not perfection. But leadership of your own internal state. The identity of someone who takes control. Responsibility creates identity. And the identity you build determines the behavior you repeat. When you say, "I'm responsible," you become someone who acts intentionally. When you say, "I choose my response," you become someone who stays centered. When you say, "I control my direction," you become someone who moves with purpose. You have a choice. You can keep the identity you've outgrown, or you can build the identity you've been avoiding. Do not underestimate the power of identity. If you see yourself as someone who loses control, you will lose control. If you see yourself as someone who stays calm, you will stay calm. If you see yourself as someone who leads, you will lead. Identity is the driver. Discipline is the fuel. Responsibility is the ignition. Stop outsourcing your power. When you say someone made you react, you hand them the steering wheel. When you say the day controlled your mood, you hand the world your emotional state. When you say circumstances forced your decisions, you let the outside world write your story. Stop outsourcing your power. Stop handing out control. Stop giving your strength away for free. You have a choice. Take it back. Responsibility is the doorway to mastery. Once you accept responsibility, something shifts. Your actions sharpen. Your reactions slow down. Your decisions become intentional. Your energy becomes focused. Your confidence strengthens. Responsibility is the doorway. Self-control is the path. Mastery is the destination. You have walked through the doorway. Now you are ready for the next step. You claimed responsibility. Now let's sharpen your emotional discipline even deeper. Chapter 2. Master your impulses. Impulses are fast. Impulses are loud. Impulses are convincing. And if left unchecked, they are destructive. They make you react before you think. They make you speak before you process. They make you act before you consider consequences. They rob you of clarity. They rob you of power. They rob you of control. You have a choice. And that's the key. Every impulse you feel is not a command. It's a signal. It is your mind and body telling you something. But it is not your instruction manual. You do not need to obey. You do not need their permission. You can pause. You can observe. You can decide. Most people believe they are at the mercy of impulses. They say, "I couldn't help it. I lost control. I just reacted." These are excuses. Weakness wrapped in words. It's not about your impulses. It's about your discipline. The cost of reacting without choice. Impulses promise quick satisfaction. Instant relief. immediate action, temporary escape. But the cost is high. You lose clarity. You lose composure. You lose respect. You lose opportunity. Think about the moments when a reaction cost you. A harsh word spoken in anger. A rushed decision you later regretted. A temptation you couldn't resist that set you back. The consequences pile up silently, invisibly, until one day, the damage is obvious. Impulses are fast. Consequences are slow. And by the time you feel the weight, the damage is done. That's why control matters. You have a choice. You always have a choice. And exercising it is the mark of discipline. The moment between stimulus and response. There is a gap. A single fraction of a second. Between the trigger and the reaction. This gap is invisible to most people. But it is everything. It is the doorway to control. It is where power resides. Pause. Observe. Choose. This is not weakness. This is mastery. A warrior doesn't strike on instinct alone. A master doesn't react to every tug of emotion. They act deliberately. They respond with intention. It's not about removing impulses. It's about learning to respond instead of react. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. Intention replaces automaticity. Most reactions are automatic. Habit-driven. Cue-driven. Emotion-driven. Automatic reactions create chaos. Intentional responses create order. Intentional responses are the hallmark of leadership. Over yourself, over your life, over your influence. When you feel anger rising, you do not lash out. When fear tightens your chest, you do not freeze. When desire demands instant gratification, you do not surrender. Instead, you pause. You assess. You decide. This is how clarity grows. This is how power is maintained. This is how impulses are transformed into disciplined action. You have a choice. You always have a choice. And the moment you exercise it, you reclaim authority over yourself. Slow the moment. Interrupt the reaction. Impulses thrive in speed. They disappear the instant you slow down. Slow the moment. Breathe. Observe. Assess. The noise fades. The urgency diminishes. The destructive pull weakens. Interrupt the reaction. Place a mental pause. Give yourself a microsecond to choose. This microsecond is deceptively powerful. It allows intention to enter. It allows reason to operate. It allows you to convert instinct into strategy. Every microsecond you create between stimulus and response strengthens your self-control. Every pause you take reinforces your discipline. Every interruption you practice becomes a brick in the foundation of mastery. From emotional to intentional responses. Intentional responses are deliberate. They are calculated. They are aligned with purpose. They do not serve short-term pleasure. They serve long-term strength. Anger becomes communication. Frustration becomes action. Fear becomes preparation. Temptation becomes a choice. Notice the difference. The reaction reacts. The response directs. It's not about your flaws. It's about your discipline. You don't need their permission. You don't need the world's validation. You need your decision. You need your commitment. You need your pause. Practice makes pause automatic. You will not master impulses overnight. Discipline is forged through repetition. Every time you pause, you strengthen the gap between trigger and reaction. Every time you choose deliberately, you train your mind. Every time you respond instead of react, you reinforce your identity as a master of yourself. Repetition is the engine of habit. Control is the reward of discipline. Intentional action is the outcome of mastery. You have a choice. You always have a choice. And every moment you choose deliberately compounds your power. The identity of a master of impulses. Masters are not without impulses. They are aware of them. They anticipate them. They neutralize them. They act in alignment with long-term goals, not short-term cravings. They lead their emotional state rather than being led by it. They operate from intention, not avoidance. The world reacts to impulse. The disciplined create reality. This is your choice. This is your power. Chapter 3. Control your thoughts before they control you. Your mind is always talking. Relentless chatter. Unfiltered opinions. Unprocessed impulses. And most of it goes unnoticed. Every thought you entertain shapes your action. Every idea you nurture drives your behavior. Every mental loop you allow dictates your future. You have a choice. And that's the key. Thoughts are not commands. They are signals. They are clues to your mind's state. But they are not instructions you must obey. You don't need their permission to act. You don't need their consent to decide. You choose which thoughts you feed and which you starve. Most people let thoughts run unchecked. They let worry, doubt, and fear dictate their steps. They replay negative scenarios. They create catastrophes that don't exist. They live in mental loops that drain energy and erode confidence. It's not about your intrusive thoughts. It's about your discipline. The cost of untrained thinking. Unfiltered thoughts create unfiltered actions. When your mind drifts toward fear, you hesitate. When your mind obsesses over failure, you procrastinate. When your mind entertains envy or resentment, you react destructively. Your mental habits control your life far more than your external circumstances. Neglecting your thoughts is neglecting your power. Every unchecked thought leads to wasted energy. Every unexamined mental pattern limits your results. You have a choice. You always have a choice. And the moment you take control of your thinking, you reclaim your influence. The gap between thinking and action. There is a space. A moment between thought and action. This gap is invisible to most. But it is where mastery happens. It is where awareness, intention, and decision meet. Pause. Observe. Choose. A fleeting thought is just a spark. It becomes fire only if you fuel it with attention. You do not need to feed every mental impulse. You do not need to give every idea permission to dictate your behavior. It's not about suppressing thought. It's about training thought. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. Training the mind. Redirection and refraction. Your mind can be trained. Like a muscle, it strengthens under deliberate exercise. Step 1. Awareness. Notice every recurring thought. Catch the loops before they take over. Step 2. Redirection. Choose where your focus goes. Shift from worry to solution. Shift from fear to preparation. Shift from self-doubt to competence. Step 3. Reframing. A thought is neutral. The meaning is assigned. You can't do this becomes I am learning what it takes. Failure is inevitable becomes failure is feedback. Every reframe takes practice. Every reframe builds resilience. Step 4. Neutralization. Some thoughts have no value. They offer no insight, no guidance, no direction. Discard them. Let them pass. Do not allow them to linger and influence your state. The discipline of consistency. Mental discipline is not occasional. It is not when convenient. It is constant. It is consistent. It is deliberate. Each time you interrupt a negative thought, you reinforce the neural pathway of control. Each time you redirect focus toward purpose, you strengthen mental clarity. Each time you neutralize a useless loop, you conserve energy for meaningful action. Repetition is essential. Discipline is reinforced through daily practice. You have a choice. You always have a choice. No one can force you to think a certain way. No external circumstance can control your mind unless you allow it. Control starts internally, before it manifests externally. From chaos to clarity. Most minds are a battlefield. Chaos reigns because impulses, distractions, and negative patterns are left unchecked. A disciplined mind operates differently. It filters input. It prioritizes. It decides what to engage and what to ignore. It chooses the narrative it believes and the mental habits it reinforces. This clarity is the foundation for powerful action. Because thoughts precede behavior. Behavior precedes results. Results build influence, confidence, and mastery. It's not about suppressing thought. It's not about being perfect. It's about cultivating a mind that works for you instead of against you. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Tools for mental control. Journaling. Capture recurring thoughts. See patterns. Analyze triggers. Visualization. Imagine outcomes and rehearsed responses. Train your mind in advance, meditation or mindfulness. Observe thoughts without judgment. Strengthen the gap between stimulus and response, affirmations. Replace negative loops with constructive, empowering statements. Self-questioning. Ask, does this thought serve me or distract me? Decide accordingly. The tools are simple. Execution is the challenge. Consistency compounds. Discipline multiplies results. The impact on action. When thoughts are disciplined, actions follow. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop giving energy to distractions. You stop being a prisoner of your own mental loops. Instead, your actions reflect clarity. Your decisions are intentional. Your results become predictable. Your influence becomes measurable. It's not about your thoughts being perfect. It's about your mastery over the consequences of those thoughts. It's about transforming mental noise into focused power. Chapter 4. Emotion is a tool, not a master. Emotions are powerful. They are immediate. They are intense. They are unavoidable. But emotions are not commands. They are signals. They are indicators of your internal state. They are not instructions you must obey. You have a choice. And that is the key. Most people let emotions control them. Fear dictates their decisions. Anger drives their words. Impatience pushes them into mistakes. It's not about your emotions. It's about your discipline. You don't need their permission to act. You decide your response. You decide your actions. You decide your life. The danger of untrained emotions. Unchecked emotions are destructive. They erode clarity. They undermine focus. They sabotage progress. When you allow emotion to govern your behavior, you act reactively. You overreact. You lash out. You hesitate unnecessarily. You compromise your own goals to satisfy an immediate feeling. Every emotional reaction is energy spent. Every uncontrolled outburst reduces influence. Every moment you surrender to emotion is a moment of lost authority. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Emotions are raw. Discipline is refined. You transform raw emotion into intentional action. You convert energy into results. The gap between feeling and action. There is a pause. A moment between feeling and doing. This pause is your leverage. This pause is your power. Most people do not notice it. Most people react instantly. Most people obey emotion as if it were law. Mastery begins in this gap. In the space between impulse and decision. The more conscious you are of the gap, the more control you gain. Pause. Observe. Choose. Fear becomes caution. Anger becomes assertiveness. Impatience becomes speed with precision. It's not about suppression. It's about control. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. Building emotional neutrality. Step 1. Awareness. Recognize the emotion as it arises. Name it. Fear, anger, desire, frustration. Labeling it creates distance. Step 2. Acceptance. Feeling emotion is not weakness. Suppressing emotion creates tension, anxiety, and mistakes. Allow yourself to feel without obeying. Step 3. Strategic delay. Delay your response to intense feelings. Count to 10. Breathe. Assess the consequences of action. Step 4. Intentional action. Decide your response based on reason, not reaction. Respond with purpose. Respond with strategy. Respond with authority. Repetition creates muscle memory. Discipline becomes habitual. Every pause, every observation, Every intentional response strengthens your control. Emotional intelligence in action. People judge you by your reactions. Quick tempers or emotional outbursts create distrust. Calm authority commands respect. Neutral observation creates influence. When you maintain emotional neutrality, you gain clarity. You make better decisions. You conserve energy. You direct your life instead of surrendering it to fleeting feelings. Practice under pressure. Practice in temptation. Practice during conflict. Emotional neutrality is not convenient. It is tested in chaos. It's not about ignoring your feelings. It's about integrating awareness and control. It's about transforming instinct into strategy. The cost of emotional reactivity. Reacting emotionally leads to mistakes. Regret follows. Relationships are strained. Opportunities are lost. Your credibility is diminished. Conversely, managing emotion amplifies results. Decisions are clear. Actions are precise. Influence is solid. The choice is always yours. You have a choice. You don't need permission from fear, anger, or desire. You control your response. You control your energy. You control your outcome. Tools for emotional control. Breath control. Slow, deep breathing interrupts emotional escalation. Observation practice. Daily check-ins to name and assess emotions. Journaling. Reflect on emotional triggers and your responses. Visualization. Imagine emotionally charged situations and rehearse controlled responses. Pause strategy. Train yourself to delay action for a defined period before reacting. The tools are simple. Execution is the challenge. Discipline is built through consistency, not luck. You have a choice. You always have a choice. The power of choice. Strength is not the absence of emotion. Strength is feeling emotion and still taking control. Strength is acting with intention while others react impulsively. You are not a prisoner of your moods. Chapter 5. Discipline over mood. Action is the measure of discipline. Thoughts and emotions are signals. Results are created by what you do, not what you feel, not what you think, not what comes easiest in the moment. You have a choice. And that is the key. Most people wait for motivation. They wait for inspiration. They wait for the right feeling. It never comes. Motivation is fleeting. Emotion is inconsistent. Desire is unreliable. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you do. You don't need anyone's permission to act. You don't need external validation. You decide. You choose. You act. The cost of inaction. Every delay is a decision. Every hesitation is energy wasted. Every excuse erodes credibility. Every "I'll do it later" strengthens the habit of avoidance. Action without discipline is chaotic. Discipline without action is empty. You must act. Intentionally. Relentlessly. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when your emotions protest. You have a choice. You always have a choice. The system of action. Step 1. Clarity. Decide what matters most. Define the outcome. Be specific. If it's not clear, it's not actionable. Step 2. Commit. Commit to doing, regardless of feelings. Commit to small, repeatable steps that build momentum. Consistency compounds. Small actions multiply into massive results. Step 3. Timing. Act now. Do not defer. The moment is your leverage. Delaying invites distraction, hesitation, and emotional interference. Step 4. Review and adjust. Measure outcomes. Track progress. Refine tactics. But do not confuse review with inaction. It's not about perfection. It's about repetition. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's not about luck. It's about the system you build. Intention drives action. People act reactively. Impulse guides their behavior. They chase what feels good or run from what feels bad. Stop that. You are not a victim of emotion. You are the commander of your conduct. Act with intention. Act with purpose. Act with strategy. Pause before reaction. Assess the impact. Choose action that aligns with results. That is discipline. That is mastery. That is leadership over self. The habit of immediate action. Procrastination is the enemy. Delay is the thief of results. The first action is always the hardest. You have a choice. Do it now. Start small if necessary. The first repetition sets the pattern. Momentum follows consistent action. Every action reinforces self-trust. Every completed task strengthens authority over your own life. Every delay weakens control. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's not about talent. It's about routine. It's not about mood. It's about discipline. Building reliability through action. Micro-commitments. Start with small, manageable actions that create visible progress. Time blocking. Assign periods of focused action. No excuses. No distractions. Immediate initiation. Begin tasks within minutes of deciding. Delay kills momentum. Sequential steps. Break large tasks into repeatable actions. Focus on progress, not overwhelm. Accountability. Measure results. Hold yourself responsible for follow-through. Discipline is not something you feel, it is something you do. Action is the proof. Action is the authority. Action is the transformation. The power of consistency. Success does not come from sporadic bursts of effort. It comes from relentless, daily repetition. Action creates habit. Habit creates identity. Identity determines outcomes. When you act consistently, you train your mind to bypass resistance. You condition yourself to follow through even when emotion resists. You create a system where mood does not dictate behavior. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can surrender to indecision. Or you can act. Every single day. Overcoming resistance. Resistance is inevitable. Discomfort is inevitable. The mind will resist effort. The body will seek comfort. Emotions will urge delay. Ignore them. You don't need permission from comfort, doubt, or fear. Discipline overrides resistance. Small, consistent actions break through stagnation. Momentum is built by action, not intention. Replace hesitation with execution. Replace avoidance with engagement. Replace doubt with movement. This is not optional for those who seek transformation. It is fundamental. It is unavoidable. It is decisive. Action as a measure of character. Thought without action is illusion. Planning without execution is vanity. Vision without discipline is fantasy. Your habits are revealed in what you do, not what you feel. Your authority is shown in consistent follow-through. Your power is proven in execution under pressure. The choice is yours. You have a choice. You decide your direction. You decide your results. You decide your influence. Chapter 6. Protect your focus like a fortress. Attention is the currency of achievement. Where your focus goes, energy flows. Your results are determined not by time, but by attention. Distraction is the silent enemy. It fragments your mind. It drains your energy. It steals your power. You have a choice. And that is the key. Most people allow distraction to lead them. Phones, notifications, social noise, unnecessary meetings, mindless scrolling. It never ends. And it never adds value. It's not about being busy. It's about being effective. You don't need anyone's permission to focus. You decide where your mind goes. You choose what deserves your energy. The cost of distraction. Every interruption weakens control. Every multitasking attempt reduces quality. Every unplanned digression slows momentum. Distraction creates chaos in decisions. It delays results. It erodes discipline. You must reclaim your attention. Intentionally. Relentlessly. Even when the world demands otherwise. Even when comfort whispers for easy, shallow tasks. You have a choice. You always have a choice. The system of focus. Step 1. Identify what matters. Be clear on priorities. Define outcomes. If it's not critical, it's not worth your attention. Step 2. Block distractions. Phone on silent. Notifications off. Workspace organized. Digital noise minimized. Step 3. Schedule deep work. Allocate uninterrupted periods for high-value activity. Treat it like a sacred appointment. Guard it with discipline. Step 4. Track your focus. Measure how much time is spent in meaningful effort. Adjust tactics if attention drifts. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's not about effort. It's about impact. It's not about reacting. It's about directing your mind. Intentionality over automation. People operate on autopilot. They respond to every ping, every message, every distraction. Stop that. You are not a slave to stimulus. You are the commander of your attention. Act with purpose. Act with awareness. Act with strategy. Pause before reaching for your phone. Pause before allowing interruption. Ask, does this serve my goal? If not, ignore it. That is discipline. That is power. That is self-mastery. Habits of deep work. Distraction thrives on habit. Replace weak habits with strong ones. Make focus automatic. Single task relentlessly. One objective, one session, one result. Time blocking. Dedicate strict intervals to high-value work. Environment design. Clear clutter. Limit interruptions. Cue focus. Strategic breaks. Avoid burnout. Recover, then return stronger. It is a system you build. It is a muscle you train. It is a choice you reinforce daily. The cost of split attention. Every distraction divides your brain power. Multitasking reduces memory, comprehension, and creativity. Shallow work gives the illusion of productivity but not results. You have a choice. Do not confuse movement with progress. Do not confuse business with influence. Focus creates clarity. Focus creates momentum. Focus creates mastery. Environment and focus. Your surroundings dictate your attention. Clutter breeds distraction. Noise breeds inattention. Social pressure breeds fragmentation. Take control. Remove unnecessary noise. Design your environment to favor concentration. Phone in another room. Close tabs. Email checked once a day. Unproductive meetings declined. You are not rude. You are disciplined. You are choosing impact over chaos. You are choosing power over distraction. Retraining the mind. Habits of distraction are automatic. They trigger without thought. Your brain craves novelty. It craves stimulation. You must interrupt these loops. Notice the impulse. Pause. Decide intentionally. Redirect to meaningful work. Replace shallow habits with deep work. Replace constant notifications with controlled intervals. Replace digital noise with focused output. You have a choice. You always have a choice. The power of single-mindedness. Achievement is built by those who can focus relentlessly. Focus is the multiplier of effort. It turns hours into results. It turns clarity into execution. It turns potential into performance. Discipline of attention means saying no to good distractions to say yes to great results. Protecting your time like a fortress. Building momentum through undivided attention. It's not about workaholism. It's about meaningful action. It's not about perfection. It's about intentional repetition. It's not about eliminating life. It's about amplifying what truly matters. Chapter 7. Delay the reward. Strengthen the mind. Control is built in moments of resistance. Every decision shapes your life. Every choice writes your future. You have a choice. And that is the key. Most people chase the immediate. They want comfort now. They want rewards instantly. They want pleasure without effort. That is weakness. That is failure disguised as desire. It's not about avoiding comfort. It's about discipline. Delayed gratification is the bridge between desire and achievement. It separates the momentary from the meaningful. It creates power. It creates control. It creates long-term success. The cost of immediate gratification. Instant reward is seductive. It whispers, "You deserve this." It tricks the mind into thinking satisfaction is in the now. Impulse leads to regret. Impulse leads to inconsistency. Impulse leads to wasted energy. Impulse leads to mediocrity. You have a choice. Even when desire screams. Even when your mind rebels. Even when your body craves. You can wait. You can resist. You can act with strategy. And that is power. Training the mind to wait. Delayed gratification is a skill. It is a mental muscle. It strengthens with practice. Step 1. Recognize impulses. Notice the craving. Identify the source. Label it as temporary, not urgent. Step 2. Pause. Create space between desire and action. Even a short pause weakens compulsion. Even a short pause strengthens decision-making. Step 3. Choose intentionally. Ask, will this serve my long-term goal? If yes, act. If no, resist. Step 4. Reward yourself strategically. Use rewards as tools, not tyrants. Delay pleasure until it aligns with progress. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about prioritizing impact over indulgence. It's not about avoiding life. It's about owning it. Building long-term discipline. People give up because gratification is too delayed. They quit before results arrive. They abandon effort because instant comfort tempts them. Don't give in. Don't surrender to weakness. Each act of patience compounds. Each resistance strengthens resolve. Each delay trains your mind to dominate impulses. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Choose progress over comfort. Choose action over impulse. Choose discipline over desire. Practical strategies for delayed gratification. Set clear goals. Know what you want. Know the long-term payoff. Visualize outcomes. Picture success. Feel its impact. Compare it to temporary comfort. Break it into steps. Small, manageable efforts reduce the temptation to quit. Track progress. See improvement. Celebrate small wins in a structured way. Remove triggers. Eliminate cues that encourage immediate indulgence. It's not about avoiding temptation forever. It's about controlling your response to it. It's not about living without pleasure. It's about controlling pleasure so it serves you. The mental muscle of resistance. Every impulse resisted strengthens control. Every craving delayed reinforces focus. Every temptation refused builds patience. Discipline becomes automatic. Self-control becomes habitual. Decision-making becomes strategic. You don't need their permission to resist. You don't need external validation to delay reward. You decide. You choose. You dominate. Why delayed gratification matters. People who master delayed gratification achieve higher levels of success, build stronger relationships, manage money and resources effectively, maintain health, energy, and mental clarity. Those who chase the immediate suffer from inconsistency, fall prey to poor decisions, waste time, money, and energy, never achieve potential. It's not about luck. It's not about intelligence. It's about discipline. It's about choices. It's about delayed action in pursuit of massive outcomes. Common pitfalls and how to avoid them. Seeking comfort in the moment. Recognize it. Pause. Decide strategically, underestimating the long-term payoff. Visualize outcomes vividly. Create desire for the future stronger than the urge now. Failing repeatedly. One failure is a lesson, not a reason to quit. Recommit immediately, ignoring small decisions. Every choice counts. Practice delayed gratification in minor actions. Small wins compound. It's not about avoiding mistakes. It's about controlling the response to them. It's about choosing patience repeatedly. Transformation through patience. Delayed gratification transforms life. It rewires the mind. It turns impulsive behavior into intentional action. It replaces chaos with clarity. It replaces reaction with strategy. You have a choice. You always have a choice. You can give in. Or you can wait. You can choose the quick hit. Or you can claim the bigger win. Each decision shapes momentum. Each act of patience multiplies impact. Each moment of control creates freedom. It's not about denying pleasure. It's about leveraging pleasure to reinforce growth. It's not about sacrifice alone. It's about designing life to maximize results. Chapter 8. Set standards, not wishes. Wishes are meaningless. Desires are empty without action. Hopes alone do not build success. You have a choice. Every day. Every decision. Every moment. And that is the key. Standards change everything. Standards set boundaries. Standards define behavior. Standards create identity. People drift because they lack standards. They react to circumstances. They bend to moods. They give in to impulses. It's not about luck. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. Why standards matter? Standards are rules you refuse to break. Standards are limits you place on yourself. Standards are non-negotiable expectations. Without standards, life is chaos. Without standards, habits are weak. Without standards, progress is inconsistent. You have a choice. You don't need permission to set your own rules. You don't need approval to demand excellence from yourself. You define your limits. When you set high standards, life aligns with them. When you lower standards, life aligns with that too. That is why clarity matters. That is why rules matter. That is why identity matters. Identity versus wishes. Most people rely on wishes. I hope I can stay consistent. I hope I can be disciplined. I hope things will work out. Hopes are weak. Hopes rely on emotion. Hopes rely on chance. Standards rely on principle. Standards rely on discipline. Standards rely on identity. I am the kind of person who follows through. I am the kind of person who honors commitments. I am the kind of person who does what needs to be done, even when I don't feel like it. It's not about hoping. It's about being. It's not about what you want. It's about who you are. How to establish personal standards. Step 1. Define non-negotiables. What behaviors are unacceptable? What compromises are off limits? Write them down. Own them. Step 2. Align actions with identity. Every action must answer, is this consistent with who I am? If yes, act. If no, refuse. Step 3. Remove ambiguity. Vague rules are weak. I'll try to eat healthy is weak. I will eat only real, whole foods 6 days a week is strong. Step 4. Reinforce consistently. Standards are useless if ignored. Every day is an opportunity to honor them. Every slip is a signal to recommit immediately. Step 5. Communicate clearly. Speak with conviction about your rules. Not for others. This is internal. This is your personal authority. The power of expectation. Standards create expectation. Expectation drives behavior. Expectation drives results. When you hold yourself accountable, hesitation disappears. When you honor your commitments, confidence grows. When you refuse shortcuts, integrity compounds. You have a choice. Every day, every task, every challenge. Act with discipline, or act with weakness. The choice is yours. Common mistakes. Confusing goals with standards. Goals are outcomes. Standards are identity-based rules that guide behavior, relying on motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Standards are consistent, being vague. I'll try is meaningless. Be exact, I will do this. Ignoring accountability. Standards demand reflection. Track adherence. Measure results. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's not about what others expect. It's about what you refuse to compromise. Practical applications. Health. I do not skip workouts. I eat real food. No exceptions. Work. I respond promptly. I deliver quality. I meet deadlines without excuses. Relationships. I honor commitments. I speak truth. I act with respect. Personal growth. I read daily. I meditate daily. I practice skill improvement daily. Notice the pattern. Every standard answers a single question. Who am I? Not what do I want. Not what do I hope for. Identity drives behavior. Standards are the framework. Consistency is the result. Building unbreakable standards. Start small. One area, one standard. Master it, reinforce daily. Check alignment every morning. Reflect every evening, avoid compromise. Exceptions erode power. One exception leads to another, increase gradually. As discipline strengthens, raise expectations, anchor to identity. Connect standards to this is who I am, not this is what I hope for. It's not about rules alone. It's about rules that shape self-perception. It's not about following orders. It's about creating authority over yourself. Chapter 9. Fight the urge to quit. Quitting is easy. Quitting is comfortable. Quitting is tempting. You have a choice. Every day. Every moment. Every decision. And that is the key. Self-control is not a feeling. It is a commitment. It is a decision. It is action in spite of resistance. Most people quit before results appear. Most people give up at the first sign of frustration. Most people allow boredom to dictate their behavior. It's not about the circumstances. It's about discipline. It's not about comfort. It's about courage. It's not about fleeting motivation. It's about persistence. Why persistence matters. Life rewards those who refuse to quit. Talent matters. Intelligence matters. Opportunity matters. But persistence outweighs all. Persistence bridges the gap between intention and outcome. Persistence turns effort into results. You have a choice. You don't need anyone's permission to keep going. You don't need validation to persevere. You define your commitment. When you quit, nothing changes. When you push through, everything changes. Small, consistent steps compound into massive impact. Boredom fades. Frustration diminishes. Fear becomes manageable. The mechanics of quitting. Quitting is always a process. It starts with hesitation. It grows with distraction. It ends with surrender. You feel resistance. You doubt your ability. You rationalize taking a break. You delay. And eventually, you quit. It's not sudden. It's gradual. It's invisible. It is silent. Recognizing the pattern is crucial. Awareness is the first step toward control. Awareness allows interruption. Awareness allows choice. You have a choice. Interrupt the quit loop before it escalates. Decide now. Decide consistently. Decide relentlessly. How to build persistence. Step 1. Commit to the process. Decide that quitting is not an option. Not because it is easy. Not because you feel like it. But because your standards demand it. Step 2. Accept discomfort. Boredom will appear. Frustration will appear. Fear will appear. It's not a signal to quit. It's a signal to act with discipline. Step 3. Break it into microactions. Large goals are overwhelming. Persistence is built through small, repeatable steps. Focus on the next action. Focus on doing, not thinking. Step 4. Replace excuses with rules. I'm tired becomes I show up anyway. I don't feel like it becomes I act regardless. I'll start tomorrow becomes I start now. Step 5. Track consistency, not perfection. Persistence is reinforced through reflection. Notice progress. Notice effort. Notice your refusal to quit. Common obstacles to persistence. Immediate gratification. Desire for quick rewards undermines long-term control, comparison. Measuring yourself against others invites quitting. Self-doubt. Believing you can't leads to surrender, distractions, noise and business break momentum. Emotional influence, waiting for motivation or feeling inspired is fatal. It's not about eliminating emotions. It's about acting despite emotions. It's not about perfect conditions. It's about creating consistency under imperfect conditions. Real-world application. Fitness. Push through the last 5 representatives when muscles burn. Learning. Read or practice even when bored or tired. Work. Complete tasks even when energy is low, inspiration absent, or results delayed. Persistence is mundane, repetitive, and silent. Strategies to reinforce persistence. Expanded. 1. Anchor to purpose. Remind yourself why you started. Purpose is the emotional engine behind persistence. When motivation fades and discomfort rises, reconnecting with your original why restores inner drive. Your purpose could be personal growth, financial freedom, family security, impact, respect, or self-mastery. Repeating your purpose daily strengthens commitment and prevents emotional quitting. When effort becomes painful, purpose makes the pain meaningful and tolerable, allowing you to continue when others stop. 2. Visualize outcome, not struggle. Focus on the result, not the discomfort. The mind naturally fixates on difficulty, fatigue, and effort. This increases resistance and lowers endurance. Instead, mentally project yourself into the future, experiencing the success, relief, pride, and freedom that come from completion. Visualization programs your subconscious to move toward reward rather than away from discomfort. When you focus on outcome, struggle becomes temporary, and persistence becomes logical. 3. Interrupt the quit signal. Pause, breathe, and reset attention. The urge to quit is often an emotional reflex, not a rational decision. When this signal appears, interrupt it immediately. Pause for a few seconds, take deep breaths, and shift attention to the smallest actionable next step. This disrupts emotional overwhelm and restores mental control. By breaking the task into microactions, you reduce resistance and maintain forward motion, which is the foundation of persistence. 4. Stack habits. Pair difficult tasks with established routines. Habit stacking eliminates friction by attaching new, challenging behaviors to existing routines. When difficult tasks become part of an automatic sequence, they require less motivation and decision-making. For example, writing after morning tea, studying after prayer, or exercising after waking up. This structural consistency removes mental resistance and ensures persistence through automation rather than willpower. 5. Accountability. Report progress to yourself or others. Accountability strengthens persistence through responsibility and social pressure. When you commit publicly or to a trusted individual, quitting becomes psychologically uncomfortable. Tracking progress, sharing updates, or reporting daily actions creates discipline, focus, and consistency. Accountability transforms internal intentions into external obligations, increasing follow-through and reducing excuses. The role of mental toughness. Expanded. Persistence is not physical. It is mental. It is the ability to make clear decisions under pressure, when stress clouds judgment and comfort tempts retreat. It is choosing long-term outcomes over short-term relief. It is acting deliberately even when motivation disappears. Mental toughness is action when emotions scream to stop. When fear says avoid. When doubt says delay. When fatigue says rest. When discomfort says quit. It is the strength to move forward anyway. Mental toughness is the capacity to endure delay, uncertainty, frustration, and exhaustion without emotional collapse. It is staying grounded when results are slow, when progress is invisible, and when rewards are distant. Most people quit here, not because they lack ability, but because they lack emotional endurance. Every moment presents a choice. You can yield to internal resistance, to comfort, fear, and self-doubt. Or you can enforce discipline, choosing action over emotion, purpose over pleasure, growth over ease. Mental toughness gives you the power to override impulse. Discipline gives you the structure to sustain effort. Together, they create deliberate persistence. Persistence is not heroic bursts of effort. It is consistent, controlled, repeated action. Day after day, step after step, effort after effort. And over time, consistency transforms small actions into mastery. What once felt difficult becomes natural. What once felt impossible becomes standard. What once required willpower becomes identity. This is the true role of mental toughness. To keep you moving forward when stopping feels easier. To hold your standard when excuses feel reasonable. To transform struggle into strength and effort into excellence. Common mistakes. Relying on inspiration. Inspiration is unreliable. Discipline is permanent. Ignoring micro-progress. Quitting often begins by undervaluing small wins, rushing outcomes. Impatience breaks momentum. Trust the process, avoiding discomfort. The path to self-control always includes challenge. It's not about luck. It's not about timing. It's about showing up when nobody else would. It's about choosing action over surrender. Quitting is natural. Persistence is unnatural. Most people quit. Most people surrender. Most people let impulse decide. You have a choice. Every day, every decision, every action. Choose persistence. Refuse excuses. Act despite fatigue. Act despite fear. Act despite boredom. Build momentum. Compounding effort is unstoppable. Incremental wins create massive change. Persistence becomes a habit. Discipline becomes instinct. Self-control becomes permanent. And once persistence is internalized, every other principle, focus, standards, self-discipline, delayed gratification, becomes easier. You don't need permission. You don't need luck. You don't need motivation. You have a choice. You have the power to act consistently. You have the power to refuse quitting. You have the power to endure. Take that power. Use it every day. Make action, not surrender, your default. Self-control is not about perfection. It's about ownership. You learned how to take back the wheel, how to shut down impulses, how to control your thoughts, and how to stop letting emotion lead your life. You learned how to choose discipline over mood, how to protect your focus, how to delay gratification, and how to enforce standards that actually hold. You learned how to fight the urge to quit and how to live as the master of your own decisions. Now the responsibility is yours. No one can do this part for you. Every day you will face distractions, temptations, emotions, and impulses, and every day you decide who wins. Choose strength. Choose control. Choose the life built by discipline, not weakness. If you want your future to change, your choices must change now. Start today. Start with the next decision. Take control, and don't give it back.